very quick opener for this second clip. What is it with the frayed stair carpet and 28 years later? The camera zooms in and just focuses on like this torn carpet. None of the characters who are going up and down the stairs to check on Jodie Comer's character take a nasty tumble. So I didn't see the relevance of that. Something else, obviously, that added to the many reasons that I wasn't a fan of this movie. So, okay, 28 years later, I gave you a second chance, and I'm still of the same opinion as I was on Thursday. In fact, you know what? I woke up Friday, and I can only describe it as New Year's Day. You know where I don't drink anymore, but when I used to go out for New Year, fuck me, like, you know when you get up on the 1st of January, and your face is like set in that sort of grimace, and you just feel deflated, and like there was a mass anticlimax a few hours before. That's exactly how I felt, unfortunately, on Friday. Now, obviously, I did the pre-watch clip where I was uber excited, and I'll never do one of those again, because I clearly built this film up to be spectacular, and it wasn't. I was New Year's Day'd after watching 28 years later. Do you know what? When I got home, I thought about it carefully, and I can only describe the first half of this movie as like an sort of violent post-watershed episode of Emmerdale, set in a farmhouse amongst gorgeous, just scenery. It's lovely. Where, like, without giving some of the character plots away, where, you know, one of the characters has done something bad or is having an affair or something. The kid finds out, gets nasty to his. Throws his weight around, and it was like that. That's the main way I'll describe this one. It was too dramatic and too soap opera-y. It wasn't the build-up or the opening I expected. I think my main argument with 28 years later is why the hell they didn't take down the Alpha. He's not invincible. He's not a god. It just baffled me how they didn't rip his head off like he was doing to everybody else. It was just, oh yeah, he ripped my wife's head off last Wednesday, but I'll let him walk around the local forests, let him think about what a naughty lad he's been. So, he does all this horrible stuff, and they don't kill him. They don't. I was just absolutely, I was really not taken with that at all. I dislike that element spectacularally. Side note, probably not one to focus on, but the actor, not that I've Googled him, it's got a massive penis. My God. Jeez, I'm surprised they didn't strap the Alpha up in a cage and let him repopulate the island, seriously. Now, that aspect to it, I now fully understand. So watching it a second time, I've completely pieced that together. What happens is, obviously, the rage virus takes out the entire of Great Britain, and then you see my argument there was, at the end of 28 weeks later, you see the kids make it. So Imogen Poots and her brother, they're picked up in the helicopter at Wembley, and they're taken across the channel, and the very closing is the infected sort of tearing past where the camera sort of tilts again. I love my camera tilting. The infected are sprinting around and past the Eiffel Tower. So that's why I one thing I wasn't clear on, why hasn't it gone overseas? Because the soldier character in 28 years later, he's got an iPhone, and he shows the lead boy character in this a picture of his girlfriend, and talks about being online and things like that. So the outside the UK, obviously life has continued, and that's kind of interesting. So that aspect of it, England is fully isolated and it's fucked basically. But life, as we currently know it, the culture has carried on outside. So yeah. I wasn't, and it flashes up on screen at the beginning as well, the whole, how the UK, like the rage virus went tits up, but they had managed to contain it and bring it back to England from continental Europe or something. So yeah, that was quite interesting. So yeah, I'll give it that one. I liked that aspect to it. And the whole, I think, yeah, we get glimpses in 28 years later of like rusted wind turbines, Angel of the North that looks like it's been uprooted and shoved in the middle of Kew Gardens. Kew Gardens? Kew Gardens. So, it, interesting, sinister, kind of creepy. There's just not enough of that. I wanted ransacked Asda, W.H. Smith and Wimpy, upturned and complete carnage. In other sort of post-apocalyptic films, you see that people have made a home out of a simple restaurant or something, things like that. I didn't get. Yeah, there's not. I didn't get it because there was none of it. That's what pissed me off a lot about 28 years. Yeah, I just wanted to be wowed at the tragic impact of the virus, basically. Being such a big fan of the whole movie franchise. What was it I was thinking? So yeah, as well as the scenery and all that kind of stuff. Now there's one thing. Okay, so skip ahead if you don't want to hear anything, unfortunately, about Jimmy Savile. Now, I don't even want to utter his name, seriously. But I am absolutely disgusted at the closing scene. So again, skip ahead if you don't want to hear anything about this disgrace of a man, but also a sort of spoiler. Skipped ahead yet? You'll want to. So, right at the end of this film, Jack O'Connell turns up, and he's the aged young boy at the very beginning of the movie. Jimmy, his name is. It's ironic, isn't it? He turns up dressed similarly to Jimmy Savile, the disgraced TV presenter. I'm not giving it no more. That I'm not even going to describe who he is. So he's like, "Hey there, do you need some help? My name's Jimmy," or whatever. And in any other sort of scene that would be passable. Not here, because it turns out his group of ninja Jimmies that turn up are like, oh my god. So his band of followers who come down and they basically kick the shit out of the infected. They're all in oily tracksuits. They've all got blonde wigs on, and they're sort of jewellery clad. What Jimmy Savile used to have, the chunky rings on his fingers, the necklaces. It's horrible. It's distasteful. It's disrespectful. I cannot, for the life of me, fathom what the producers were thinking. What the hell were you thinking, Danny Boyle, when you decided to close this film with a shout out to the late, not fucking great Jimmy Savile? I was, so if, the whole New Year's Day vibe wasn't enough, Jimmy Savile? No, you do not do that in a film. And this film, specifically, why? Why did you feel the need? Why? So, yeah, okay. I can't even elaborate on that because it's too it's not only cringe, but it's incredibly distasteful and it's disgusting. Right, so yeah, like I say, watching it the second time, I now fully realise what happened with the virus, that it went abroad and it came back, and the UK is completely shut down. So there is that, that feeling of isolation, and also quite sadness of Great Britain being so cut off from the outside world that they've actually they've been thrown back to like the medieval era. So, so it's, they're having to not only fend for themselves, but they've regressed. Right, so there are interesting elements to 28 years later. If we can just pop back, though, to the whole, the opening scene. Now, I must just clear up. In my previous clip, when I first watched it, I contradicted myself because do you know what? But basically, hands up, when I came out of that screen 2 days ago, I was so disfueled. I had felt like I'd had the wind kicked out of me because I was so excited for this instalment of the 28 series, that when it panned out the way it did, I was so deflated. I couldn't articulate what I was trying to say. That's not happened to me before, and I couldn't get any words out. So watching it back, I said something similar to the beginning that shows you 2002, life back then, that doesn't paint the picture of the rage virus. It gives you a quick snapshot of the neighbours breaking into a house where the kids are watching Teletubbies. It gives you a quick snapshot, but it doesn't. You see, I pointed out the negative, that it doesn't paint the picture correctly of how the virus spirals, how it kicks off. But then I said straight after that, yeah, I really liked that. What I meant was I really, really liked the fact that they had 2002, but I didn't like how it didn't, they didn't portray the beginning where the shit's hitting the fan. That's what I meant. So, however, as you well know, I'm very high maintenance in films. It takes a lot to impress me nowadays. It really does. But I wanted more. So I think there's the basket they put the baby in halfway through the film has Safeway written on it. My God. Happy Eater, the intercity train. You see, I just love that. The whole nostalgia whirlwind. Love it. Absolutely love it. But I wanted to see more, because actually at the beginning, the way the mum is like, it's a typical suburban street back in 2002, the mum in a jumper, like banging against the glass door to save the children from the neighbours who have lost their shit and they're breaking into the house. That resonated with me. I liked that, this sort of old-fashioned feeling of it. But again, wanted more. Also wanted to see more about how the virus was just breaking out, but didn't get it. There you go. So, I'm not gonna. I can't mention his name again. But the closing scene, I am absolutely appalled by. And I don't know why they did it. Why? I mean, I'm sure it can't be me. I can't be the only one who has gauged that from this final scene. There is no other explanation. It is a case of he who must not be named, which is ironic because Voldemort's in this. Yes, Ralph Fiennes, who plays the Doctor. He, it's hilarious. He's exactly as softly spoken as Lord Voldemort in the Harry Potter films, He's basically an iodine spattered fucking Voldemort. He's got exactly the same voice, the calm demeanour, he's brilliant in it. He has just as much of an impact, well, it's actually slightly less, than Jodie Comer and Aaron Taylor-Johnson, but ultimately he's Lord Voldemort, orange and with a proper nose. I have to say, actually, second time round, I seriously appreciate Jodie Comer. Her performance from beginning to end is so powerful and dramatic. I called her, again, when I watched back the previous clip, I said she gives a decent performance. She gives a fucking decent performance. She's spectacular. How she plays the sick mother, the wailing, the crying, and she keeps up the accent, which I was surprised about, because I saw what was that film I watched where she keeps breaking into Scouse? What was it? Where everything floods, set in England. Can't remember. Will remember straight after this. Fucks. But I specifically remember that she kept breaking into sort of between posh English and Scouse. Good. No, well, brilliant. Yeah. Okay, is there anything else? I don't think there is. And this is your second video, so I've given it all. But yeah, shocking, absolutely shocking and disgraceful ending. But again, they'll get round it. Danny Boyle will get round this. Similarly to Lidl and Aldi, you know, when you go into those stores and you go over to the crisp aisle or the chocolate aisle and you see a Mars bar, but it's not a Mars bar. They use, the shops use like the exact same packaging, you know, exact same font and colour and packaging style, but they call it, you know, Mars is like planet and Quavers are like, you know, curly cheese husks. They get away with it. And I actually saw it in a documentary that Lidl and Aldi have taken inspiration from branded stuff. They haven't actually copied it, which is just bullshit, basically. Sorry. So yeah, I have a very good feeling Danny Boyle and Alex Garland will get round the fact that they included this disgraceful character of British history in the end of 28 years later. Vastly differently, obviously, but similar to how Lidl and Aldi, you know, get snaked around that. Oh my God, I was pissed at that, seriously. Right, okay, so, yeah, this was basically, this was my, the second sort of lowdown. But again, if I can just come back to the fact that I was seriously disappointed by the, the aisles of Asda ransacked, you know, places that are usually heaving with life, void, silent. I wanted so much more of that, and I just didn't get it. The thrill of the chase, the infected popping up at all different random places where you'd never expect them. And 28 years later was also filled with too many dramatic, peaceful moments where they're sitting on grass, having a picnic. Those bits with the soldier, I don't know if they were relevant or not relevant, but the comedy that seeped through, I mean, it had the audience laughing. And, you know, laughing during a film like of such tensity and tragedy. I don't know. Now, I'll finish here by stating that I will watch the next one in the instalment. Apparently there's another 28 movies. Of course I'll watch them. Not only because I've got the unlimited card, but because I would love to know how they're going to get round Savile. And, oh my God. Seriously. So, 28 years later, nowhere near as post-apocalyptic as I wanted it to. The beginning of it is like a post-watershed scene from Emmerdale. The family sort of shit that kicks off and stuff like that. The people, rowdy people in the pub, like pissed up and having a ball. And yeah, as I've explained, won't go over it again. But yeah. Anyway, right at almost 20 minutes, this ends here. 28 years later, that's it for me. Next week is F1. I fucking hate motor racing. Oh my God, it reminds me of Sunday afternoons with when my dad would have it and all that roast dinner cooking, the most piss boring day of the week, and my dad would have like motor racing. Oh God, I hate that. Guarantee I'll be stood right here next week saying how fantastic it was and how much I related to Brad Pitt's character and all the rest of it. Anyway, that's it. Can I do 28 years later a third time? Can I fuck? You couldn't, honestly, I was in the dentist chair yesterday afternoon. I would rather be back there having a yank. God, that came out wrong. You're being yanked at in the dentist chair, then sit through that again. Yeah, no way. So, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, yeah, done. That's it. 28 years later, absolute anticlimax. It was New Year's Day and a half.